Welcome, guys. Welcome to another episode of Direct Talks with ICICI Direct. Today we have Kirubakaran Rajendran. He's a systematic trader, and it's a pleasure hosting him here. Kirubakaran is a full-time trader since 2017. सेशन स्टार्ट करने के पहले जो हमारे हिंदी के दर्शक हैं उनके लिए एक डिस्क्लेमर, ये सेशन इंग्लिश में होने वाला है बिकॉज किरू इज मोर कंफर्टेबल इन इंग्लिश. तो आज का सेशन, आई एम सॉरी, हमारे हिंदी के दर्शक आपको थोड़ा एडजस्ट करना पड़ेगा. ओवर टू किरू, यू. इट्स अ प्लेजर होस्टिंग यू हियर.
Hey, thank you so much, Karo. Thanks for having me in this session. So I'm really excited to share whatever the learnings, that I have gone through over the years. I'm excited to share in this session. Thanks for inviting me, man.
And it's a pleasure hosting you for me as well, because I've been following you from past 3 years personally as well on Twitter, on Quora, and someone who has a large following base all over social media, be it Quora, be it YouTube, or be it Twitter. So it's going to be exciting. And you viewers, Kiru is a strict system-based trader. He is not a, he has a proper system, and he has his own and he has his own rules defined to trade. So in this session he will be sharing how does he trade, and it's going to be very insightful for you guys, because system hona bahut important hai. It's very important to have a system, because system gives you a proper discipline, and it's important to have a discipline in trading. So over to you, Kiru. I guess you have a presentation for our viewers, so can't wait to see that and get some insights from you.
Sure, man. Let me share my screen. Please confirm if you're able to see the screen. All right.
Yes, it is visible.
Okay. Perfect.
I guess, Kiru, we can have some, I think this is your introduction, so we can have a short introduction of yours before we get into the proper trading insights that you have for us.
Yeah. Sure. Just give me a moment. Do I need to stop sharing the screen and then restart later on?
It's okay. You can give your introduction and we can move ahead. So viewers, पहले हम Kiru के बारे में जान लेते हैं. We just understand Kiru and then we go ahead.
All right. See, with respect to giving a brief intro about myself, I started trading in the year 2008. So that was the period that I started trading right after my college, during my final year of my college. So that is when I started getting into trading. Back then, it was really difficult, to get the right resources about trading, because being from Chennai, it's very few people trade in markets back then. Even still today,
okay,
none of my friends trade in the market. Not even one friend who's close to being from childhood friends.
Even after post-COVID, because there has been an influx of a lot of people post-COVID.
No, not even one guy trades in the markets. No, they hardly know what I'm doing with respect to markets. So, no, it's very difficult. Back then, 20 years, 10, 15 years back then, it was very difficult to get the right resources to learn what the market is and what is the right approach. So my journey it's kind of a roller coaster ride, where even though I started trading in 2008, almost till 2014, almost for 6 years, I was dabbling in markets, whatever the trades that I took, it was completely random in nature. Like whatever the trade, stock that people discuss about, with respect to a news channel, or if it is being discussed in, any newspaper or in any, community. Back then there was a community called Orkut. Just like how we have Facebook, there was a community called Orkut, and there are some 50,000-60,000 users who were active back then in that community itself. So if people start discussing about any such stocks in that community, I used to buy them and sell them. So that is how I used to trade. But everything changed when in the year 2014, when I was working with Infosys. No, there was this book called How I Made $2 Million by Nicholas Darvas. So that was the first book that I read, which completely changed my perspective with respect to markets. So that book is all about a person called Nicholas Darvas. So that guy is actually a stage performer who travels across the world, and he performs on a stage. And this guy was able to make millions of dollars back in 1960s and 70s. And that was possible only through certain rule-based approach. So he has written in this book about his overall journey, like how he made the overall returns. And I was very much inspired after reading that book, because most people who get started with the markets, they normally read something related to fundamentals, or like Warren Buffett books and the intelligent investor books. But when I read this book, it was completely much easier to understand. So any beginner who is getting started with markets, who do not know what is the right way to get started with the markets, no right way to trade, right way to invest, you have a lot of books, but right way to trade, you have very limited books. So I would highly recommend this book, How I Made $2 Million by Nicholas Davis. So after reading this book, I started getting into rule-based approach. So from
Okay.
2014 onwards, I started getting into rule-based approach, and whatever the things that I did, everything is completely process oriented. So there is no discretionary involved. If the system says buy, I buy it. If the system says sell, I sell it. If it is profit, I take it. If it is loss, I accept it. So that is how
Okay.
my overall journey has been. So by 2017, I quit my job and started focusing full time, and being a
Okay.
full-time trader. And also I have my own startup which is into trading boards, where I focus on that, and also I manage my own trading. So
Okay.
in
So I
today's
think,
session, yeah, so sorry to
yeah,
interrupt you. So
I'll
this
just
is my
stop you here
overall,
because,
so yeah, this is my overall
okay,
journey.
because a lot of retail investors will be watching this. Okay. And one thing is common between every full-time trader right now is it took them at least 3 to 4 years to come into markets. Like, it was not that they decided to get into the market today and from tomorrow they were profitable and they started moving. Because in the previous, like, 2 sessions back, we had Ashish Gupta and Deepak Thakran. And even Ashish told me that told us that I decided to get into markets when I was profitable with a full-time job. I knew what I would be doing, what would be my what would be the type of trading I'll be doing, and then he came into the market. So I think any budding trader who aspires to become a full-time trader should understand this, should always keep this in mind, that it is a process of many years rather than X number of days, months, or weeks. Because these days there are a lot of people selling dreams, right? In 2 weeks, I'll teach you
Yeah,
markets and you can
true.
make millions out of it. So,
That is true.
so
No,
that is very common, which I'm seeing here.
that
So
is true. Even
viewers,
that is true. Even
yeah,
if someone asked me if I wanted to become a full-time trader, I would tell them, do not become a full-time trader. It is not as easy as it looks. So I would always recommend them to continue trading. Like now you have ample of opportunities, like free APIs being given by brokers, and technology is
yes.
advanced compared to last 10 years. So you can easily manage your day job as well as running your automated systems. But no,
Even
being the
like
full-time
coming to
trader.
this API thing, I'm sorry, I'm cutting you because this I would. So API, even ICICI Direct has launched this something around API. So even many brokers are coming into this, like helping people. And I think
Right.
even you have a bot which used to help
Right.
people
Yeah, even
trade.
we are in work with integrating our trading bots with respect to ICICI APIs. And like we wanted to integrate with multiple brokers who provide no free APIs, and integrate our
Okay.
rule-based trading approach with respect to bots. So people who retail investors who wanted to trade based on certain rules, they can know, even with ICICI users, they can trade. So soon we will integrate that. I'll explain that in the
Absolutely.
later point of time when I explain with the slide. So with respect to the full-time trading part, what I wanted to convey is, see, I have discussed with most, I mean, I've personally interacted with most of the full-time traders who have been in the markets not only for 1 or 2 years,
Hmm.
for 10 years or 15 years. So one advice they would always say is, like, as long as you are dependent on your trading income for your day-to-day expenses, you would not be able to become successful with respect to markets. So
That's
if
right.
if you wanted to pay your bills, if you wanted to pay your school kids school fees, day-to-day groceries expenses, if you are completely relied on your trading expenses, I mean trading profits, to meet all these expenses, then it would put a lot of pressure in you, and it is extremely hard to being a full-time
Hmm.
trader completely dependent on trading. So all these successful traders during their initial years, they add no alternate source of income, whether it is from income from real estate, or being having a full-time job, or having certain
Hmm.
backup for few years until they become completely successful with respect to trading. So when they do not rely on no trading income, you are not having no much pressure in your mind, so you would be
Hmm.
able to perform well. So that is the advice that I would always tell for people who wanted to become full-time trader. Have certain expenses you keep aside at least for 1 or 2 years, which can take care of all your expenses, day-to-day expenses, rental
Absolutely.
expenses, and everything, and focus completely on those 2 years. So if you're really profitable during your part-time, then you can consider moving to full-time.
Absolutely. Because there's something called as psychology which comes into the market, right? It is not that easy. That paper trading is obviously easy because it does not have emotions. But when
Right.
we're actually trading with your money and with a full time, like leaving your full time job, and there's no source of income, it will definitely add that extra pressure on you. And you can't trade in pressure. It's pretty easy. Like, it's pretty simple. And it's
Right.
pretty. आपने बहुत अच्छे से conveyed it really well, Kiru. So I think key takeaways for our budding traders and all is done. Now let's deep dive into your insights that you have. So let us understand system-based trading, rule-based trading, as you call it.
Sure, man. I'll
Yeah.
just share the screen. Yeah. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, absolutely. I'll go on mute.
All right. So, no, the complete idea behind this session is to explain how, to approach the markets in the right way. What is the right process to get into the market? So, I'll try to explain, how a particular trader can create a trading system, how a person can move from news-based trading to rule-based trading. What is the right approach they need to follow in order to be a successful trader on the long run. So, in this session, I'll try to explain three things. So, first thing is I'll try to explain what is the major difference between a normal fundamental analyst and a quantitative analyst or a technical analyst. And then I'll try to explain with an example like why data-based analysis is really important. And then I'll try to explain with an example, a live example, how you can implement simple rules that can save you, thousands of rupees or even lakhs of rupees, that can really help you to make the right investing decision at the right time. And then finally, for derivative traders, I'll explain an option trading strategy in the end, which people can apply during their expiry days.
Perfect. The viewers, if you're watching it, there's a lot in store for you. Do not miss this session. Okay.
Yeah, do not fast forward it. So now to get started with, so to give a brief intro, like I worked with multiple MNCs, like I worked with Infosys, I worked with Bank of America, and I worked with Xerox. And I'm basically from IT background, even though not a coding background, it's kind of an application support, post implementation support. So I have a basic coding understanding, but not completely. No, I could develop a coding from scratch. So I'll tell you where my interest actually created with respect to rule-based trading or algo trading is when I was working with Infosys. No, it was a kind of a different shift jobs. I have to work in morning shift, afternoon, and night shifts. So three different shifts I have to work. And whenever I work in night shifts, I come back and trade in the markets in a daytime. So I have to manage both my trading as well as my work during my these different shifts. So when I was working with Infosys, I was handling Bank of America project. So there are certain process where as a employee that you need to do, where Bank of America has thousands of ATMs across America, and there the number of people who deposits directly in ATMs are much larger compared to in India. So here most people still go to banks and then deposit. Only few people started depositing directly in ATMs right now, but back in 10-15 years before, most of the people go to ATM and deposit the cash. So what happens is when I was working with respect to this Bank of America project, all these transactions which people deposit comes to a specific server where as a software engineer we need to monitor all these ATMs. So there was this process that we need to do that takes at least 45 minutes of my time, where every single day I need to spend at least 1 hour to 45 minutes to complete that process to make sure all the ATMs for Bank of America is working fine. So this has taken a lot of time because of this, where I couldn't handle my reading habits. Like I read a lot, so I wanted to read where I wanted to focus more time on research with respect to markets, and also I have to manage the job. So what I did was I started trying to automate this process. So what is the way where I could automate this my job process so that I could finish that off in 5 minutes, and then I'll have ample of time so that I can focus on read more on the markets. So that is when I started Googling more about how do I automate this whole process, and I started learning the VB scripts, Python, all these little things I started learning it myself. And then finally I implemented it only for myself, not for the company, because the job is given to all these individual users. I'll just want to do it silently. I'll not tell any users. I'll not tell my team leader or anyone. I'll just try to finish it off those work within 10 minutes, and then I'll continue reading my book or related anything related to the markets. But the rest of the team used to spend almost 1 hour doing the same job. Then one fine day, one guy noticed it, and how could this guy do it within 5 minutes? We are still doing it for 1 hour. Then TL came to know about it, and then the team lead said that no, this is actually a good thing. You don't need to hide it. Let us do this. Let us implement this across Infosys. And then what happened is I completely moved my job, being into a monitoring team. I moved to a development team where they given me some couple of developers to work with me. So all I have to do is automate the process. So eventually the work itself has changed because I was having a problem was I couldn't dedicate more time to the markets. So I started figuring out what I could do. Automation was the solution, and then I slowly moved from there. So that is where
I think this was your main brainwave to automate your trading system. I think from here you have got this.
Exactly. So that is when I started focusing
Yes.
completely on the automation part. So then, as I said earlier, from 2014 onwards, I started focusing more on the data part, like data-driven approach part. After reading this book, How I Made $2 Million by Nicholas Davis. So now, when I say data is a new oil, you have to see, like for an example, why should Facebook buy WhatsApp for $19 billion when WhatsApp was not making a single rupee of revenue? So
Yes.
when they acquired WhatsApp, they had this data, like huge data. They were very fast growing. Still date, WhatsApp is the most active user base compared to any
Yeah.
other media. And people like earlier people used to say, please send an SMS, please text me. Now people are sending, please WhatsApp me. So that
Yes.
the SMS has been replaced with WhatsApp. So that is the kind of
Yeah.
the market share that the WhatsApp has got.
Change. Yeah.
Exactly.
Probably a
So
revolution you can call it. You can't even call it a change. It's a
yeah,
revolution.
definitely. Definitely. So that is the actual reason. So why should Geo be valued at a $1 billion valuation? Because still they have were able to capture a large market set, and they are there in FiberNet. They are there in in every single home right now, and
Absolutely.
they are almost more than Airtel right now. So and their valuation is completely dependent on the data that they have access to. And that is
Exactly.
why even Zuckerberg invested 10% stake. So multiple people invested just because of this data part. So I was always curious with respect to data from 2014 onwards. So any user who gets started with the markets who will always know about the person who is on the left
Two
side, that
people,
is Warren
two
Buffett.
famous
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. So I know about Warren Buffett, but I did not know about this other guy who was there with the cigarette. It took me
Yeah.
almost 6 years to realize that there is this person called Jim Simons, who is actually a mathematician, who is a PhD mathematician, who trades completely based on data.
Uh,
So Warren Buffett
and
is
you
like,
are a background from statistics, right?
right. I did my BSc statistics.
Yes.
So
Yes.
so Warren Buffett is like, no, you have to read about the company, you have to read about the founders, you have to read about the business, what the business is into, and then he completely invest in the stock and hold it for a long years, and he makes money. On the other
Yeah.
hand, Jim Simons, who is the founder of Renaissance Technologies. So Renaissance
Okay.
Technologies is actually the best hedge fund in the world till date, because they are able to make consistent returns year on year from 1988 to till date. They haven't made even a single year negative returns. So every year they were making
Okay.
positive returns, not even single year negative returns. And years like dot-com bubble burst 2000, years like 2008, all these years they made 3-digit returns. So it was so huge compared to rest of the hedge funds. And the best part is they were able to make such huge returns just through analyzing data. Not nothing. They don't care about what the company is into. They don't care about what the company's business into. Everything they care about is finding the historical no data and checking whether is there any anomaly that is there, and then they create trading strategies out of it. So that is how they created. So when Jim Simons, like when I started reading more about him, I could finalize. I mean, I could conclude that Warren Buffett's average return over these last years during his period is almost 22 to 23% CAGR.
Okay.
Whereas Jim Simons' return is almost more than 3 times. It's almost
67,
66% return.
65, 70%.
Yeah, right. So it's almost 3 times of what Warren Buffett has made. But still, Warren Buffett is considered to be the richest investor in the world. Jim Simons is nowhere near to him. It's because Warren Buffett started at the age of 30, and now he is more than 90 years old. So because of the
Yeah.
compounding effect, he has made huge
It has
fortune.
gone up.
Whereas
Absolutely.
whereas Jim Simons, he started at the age of 50, like after 50. So if you are watching this video and if you're worried that you are 35 years old or 40 years old who is just getting started, do not worry. Even Jim
It's just
Simons,
a myth.
yeah, even Jim Simons, who started at the age of 50 and still was able to make billions of dollars. So age is not a factor. It is all about what is the way that they approach with respect to the markets and
Exactly.
their
And
fun.
you should know what is your type of thing, right? There are
Exactly.
many people who will still follow Warren Buffett, but if you know your type is not hold, you can hold stock for a longer time. Jim Simons is what you should be following, who you should be following, right? And
Yeah,
that's where you
right.
take it.
Exactly. So it's being successful trader is all about knowing more about yourself. It's not knowing more about strategies, because you have
Exactly.
ample of strategies, but whether you are able to stick to the strategy decides your overall profitability factors. So you need to figure out what kind of person you are, whether you are able to handle multiple streaks of losses. If you're not able to handle multiple streaks of losses, then trend trading or trend following is not your cup of tea. So you have to figure out what is your trading psychology, what is your mindset, and accordingly only you have to create your own trading strategies. So Jim Simons. So this is the thing that I wanted to convey with respect to Jim Simons. He made stellar returns, and all these returns was possible only through data analysis. So I'll explain why I give so much importance with respect to data-driven
data
approach.
and yeah.
So I'll tell you a short story. I'm not sure whether you have read this short story already because I've shared this in Twitter. So I'm not sure whether you know the story. So
I would have for sure.
So anyway, so for the viewers, I'll try to explain this. So this is actually a story about actually a true incident. It's based on a true incident where during 1920s, General Motors, just like how we have Ford, other companies. So General Motors based out of US, they released a model called Pontiac model, I guess, and that car model was very big hit. Like it was a bestseller car, and more people were buying it. It was very hit among the most of the working population, and it was selling like anything. And one day, one of a customer who bought this car, who have been using it for a while, he sent out a letter to the GM, General Motors, stating that the headline was, "My car is allergic to vanilla ice cream." So that was the high title. And he just mentioned that my car doesn't start whenever I go to a store and buy a vanilla ice cream and get into a car. My car is not starting. So this was the headline, and this was a mail, and it was sent to them, and most people ignored it. Most people who were at the management side, who were at the engineering side, everybody ignored it, and that letter was still there. And one day, accidentally, that letter was read by the CEO of the firm. So he was curious. He was seeing like, how could nobody address this issue, even though this sounds idiotic, it doesn't make any sense. But still, what he did was he assigned an engineer to this problem. So that engineer, he asked that engineer to directly work on this, like that he is the head of engineering department. So he directly worked on it, and then he assigned that engineer to the customer. So now this engineer, he went to the customer directly, and he wanted to understand what is the exact issue that he is facing. So this guy said, like, we go have dinner together every day in our home. Once the dinner is done, we used to have a dessert where we go to the nearby store, ice cream store, and buy any of the ice cream. So whenever I go to ice cream store and buy a chocolate ice cream, I come back and start the car, it's getting started. If I go and buy a strawberry ice cream and coming back my car, and if I start it, it's getting started. But whenever I go to the store and buy a vanilla ice cream and come back to the car, and when I'm trying to start, it is simply not starting. So now the engineer is also very curious. How could a car be really allergic to vanilla ice cream? So this guy, what he did? So this guy, he said, okay, fine. Let us do one thing. I'll be with you for at least for next 30 days. So let us see what the issue is. So this engineer decided to spend time with this guy. So whenever they have dinner together in the night, and once the dinner, they go to the nearby parlor, ice cream parlor, and they go and buy a chocolate ice cream on the first day. And they're coming back to the car, and they tried starting the car, and it started. It worked fine. So the next day, again, they went to the store, and this time they tried buying a strawberry ice cream, and they tried coming back to the car, and it started, and it worked fine. And then finally, they too bought vanilla ice cream, and they came back to the car. And this time, when they tried to start the car, it was not starting.
It's not starting.
So even the guy, like he's an engineer. So he is baffled. Like, how could a car, they have invested millions of dollars in the car production, and they are curious, like, why the car is not starting. So now what happens is, this guy decided, okay, I can't go back to my, CEO and say, yeah, the car is really allergic to ice cream. If I say that, he is going to get fired. So he knows he has to fix this issue somehow. So now he started collecting more and more data. So whatever data that is possible with respect to the car, like what time he goes to the store, what was the fuel tank level when he started the car, and what was the fuel tank level once he reached home, start time of the journey, end time of the journey, how frequently he goes. So he collects all the data. And then finally he was able to figure out what is the issue. So I'll give you 5 seconds. If you are if people are watching this video, you could post it in the comment section what could have been the issue with respect to the car not starting with only for the vanilla ice cream. You do you know, Gaurav?
I've read this for sure because,
Okay,
but
okay,
I don't, yeah. But
okay.
I can see why you have taken this story because they have so many components, and when I'm not going to burst the
Right,
suspense
right,
because
right, right.
it's, yeah. So you viewers, you have to put it in the comment section. You are watching, this will be a live stream, so why it is not starting, please put it in the comment section. And I guess Kiru has already given the answer, I think.
So the conclusion is, see, whenever he goes and buys a chocolate ice cream, he goes there and he buys it and then he comes back. Whenever he goes and buys a strawberry ice cream, the time taken to buy these ice creams are relatively bit longer, because chocolate nobody
Okay.
orders it very frequently, strawberry nobody orders it frequently, but vanilla ice cream is something that everybody orders very frequently. It's kind of a bestseller. So they always keep that ready whenever people order it, and instantly they give it. Or whereas if he orders any other flavor, it takes some time for them to prepare and give it to them. So the time taken for the vanilla ice cream, so whenever he goes to the store and gets the vanilla ice cream and comes back and tries starting the car, he's stopping the car and starting it within few minutes. The time interval is very less. So back in
Hmm.
1920s, they have this item called vapor lock. So the vapor which is there inside the engine mechanism, there is some mechanism related to
Yeah.
the vapor where it couldn't get released. Because of that, it gets locked and the car has a starting trouble. So after the car cools off and then it starts. So they had this issue. So they were able to identify that, okay, if I'm starting the car, I mean stopping and restarting the car within a no lesser time frequency, the car is having this vapor lock issue. So we need to replace this and then get it fixed. So they recalled most of the models and then they fixed it. And finally, like more again the same model started being as a bestseller model for the next 10 to 15 years.
Got it.
So what
So
started as
that
a
is the
simple
importance of
problem.
data, right? Like,
Exactly.
that is
So
the
what
importance of
started as a
data.
simple problem, they were able to figure it out over by going through a lot of data. So that is the exact
Exactly.
approach that we need to think with respect to the markets. So most of the people just they complain, okay, whatever things that I'm trying to do, I'm not able to make profits in trading.
Make
So that is a
profits.
general statement, like my car is allergic to vanilla ice cream. So you need to figure out what is your actual problem, whether the problem relies on your analysis, whether the problem relies on your position sizing. There could be multiple issues. So, and just like how this engineer did, if you go based on data driven model or data driven approach, you could you easily able to fix it. And most people
Absolutely.
think that, okay, if you have data driven trader, you don't know, you need to know a lot of max, you need to know a lot of stats. That is not the case actually. So I'll tell you a real time example how you could actually use a simple Excel to get the right conclusion. For an example, most of people would know about S Bank, and most of people would know about
Everybody's favorite bank these
yeah, two
days.
companies, DHFL and S Bank. Both the
You've
companies.
got some good, you got some perfect examples because I bet 90% of the people would have traded in these two shares when they were
Definitely
down.
they would have traded it. Probably most people would be holding S Bank still in their demat account.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, so these why I've taken these two examples is like consider S Bank and DHFL. So both the stock crashed more than 40% in one single day in September 2018. So that day it was just like any normal trading day where like
Hmm.
market opened slowly and these two stocks slowly started correcting. But since these two stocks were part of FNO, there were no circuit filters. So only stocks
Yes.
which are part of FNO will have circuit filters like 5% or 10%. Once that is breached,
Yes.
trading is suspended for the day. Only you would be able to trade next day. But since this is being in FNO, they don't have any circuit filters. So the stock started correcting from morning. And nobody has any clue why these two stocks were correcting back then. The news came out very late, but being an investor. So if you're a guy
Hmm.
who have invested in S Bank and DHFL and seeing your stock crashed 50% in one day, so what would you do? So what would you do, Gaurav, if you were a no investor with respect to S Bank and DHFL? On that day, what would have been
If
your
I would have been
reaction?
a retailer, I would have see abhi itna niche aaya, let's average it out. Being a
Exactly.
norm, like being coming from that mentality, I would have said, "Ki, it has come down. I have an opportunity to add it at lower price. I'll add it."
Exactly. So the stock was trading at around 700 yesterday, and today it was trading at 350. So obviously it is attractive. at a cheaper price. So 50% it is cheaper because they think whatever the fundamental factors that was applicable yesterday is still applicable today. But the moment when it
Yes.
crashed 40%, all those fundamental part has gone away. It won't be considered anymore because no,
Yes.
DHFL and S Bank is not a small company. It is actually a big company, and it was actually part of Nifty
Yes.
50 back then. And large
Yes.
institutions were holding it. Very large institutions were holding it. Probably ICICI were also holding it. Most of the ICICI mutual funds, SBI mutual funds,
I don't
everybody
know,
was
but
holding
I
it.
still remember in 2017, before the split, it was trading at somewhere around 1800 or something. Yes Bank was at the level of 1800, and it was
Right.
hot favorite share at that time, and a
Yes,
lot
yes.
of people holding it.
Yeah, definitely.
And it was
So,
also sponsoring a famous cricket tournament of India as well at that
yeah,
time.
you know who was the brand ambassador of DHFL?
Don't remember. I don't. Amitabh Bachchan.
Shah Khan.
Okay, we're not taking any names.
Shah Khan was a brand
Okay.
ambassador. So
Okay.
the thing is, no, it was
With
very famous.
credible names, right? Because these
Yeah.
guys are credible names,
So
and
it has
these guys
nothing
are
to do
there.
with the stock performance in these actors. It is actually people they themselves, everybody believed that this is a good company and it is kind
Yeah.
of a blue chip company and everybody invested in it. Even the large institutions invested in it. But the thing is, the
Hmm.
moment the large institutions know there is a smoke, and they don't need to wait for the fire. As soon as they realize there is a smoke, they'll come out of it. Only we retail investors wait for the fire
Yes.
confirmation, and then only we come out. And by the time we wait for this fire
We are
confirmation,
burnt.
you
We are
burn.
burnt. We
Exactly.
are burnt.
Exactly. So, no, I wrote a detailed article on that day stating, no, I'll tell you what I did. So, what happened is, okay,
Okay.
both the stocks crashed. So, as an investor, what should I do if I've invested in this stock? So, I have to find out what has happened in the past. Whether,
Hmm.
is there any other company which has crashed more than 40% in one single day? So, I just downloaded the data from NSE, all the stocks data, and I tried to find out what are the list of stocks that has crashed more than
Yeah.
40% in one single day. And then I wanted to find out how total list that are part of FNO, not non-FNO, part of FNO. So stocks like
Exactly.
Satyam
Exactly.
Computers, Financial Technologies,
Satyam was
Core.
also one time
Yeah,
darling stock of everybody.
right,
2005, 6.
right.
I was
And
very, I was in my school, I was in my fifth or sixth grade that time. But
okay.
Satyam was all over the place. It was all over the news that day when
Yeah, right.
the
Ramalingam
great fall
Raju
of
news
Satyam
came. I think
happened.
it came in 2009. I think I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, 2009. Correct. 2009 January. That was the time the news came out, and the moment news came out, the stock started falling rapidly from 180 levels. By the time I came back from office, it was almost some 10 rupees or 6 rupees, I think. But no. So the idea is so the Satyam
I'll just stop you here, Kiru, for a minute. Viewers, this is very important because this has happened in past. There's a chance that it may happen in future. अगर आप देख रहे हो, आपको भी इस चीज से आपको समझ में आएगा कि कोई स्टॉक अगर इतना गिर रहा है तो मुझे वो टाइम पे क्या डिसीजन लेना है. आपके लिए कोई बता के नहीं आने वाला है कि आज हमारे स्टॉक्स इतने गिरते रहेंगे. So if you're seeing, please pay full attention here because this is some great insight provided by Kiru. Yeah, Kiru, go on. Sorry, I have to interact with my users as well.
Yeah, man, no problem. And one more thing, no, you can actually talk in Hindi. I know I'll talk in English, so you can talk in Hindi. So that is
No,
so that way
what do you call? I'll
you will
compliment you.
understand.
Yeah.
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 So the idea is I still remember Satyam Computers. So I'll explain how that day was like. I was about to go in the noon shift, and by 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, the news was out. CNBC, every channel were talking about this letter that Ramalinga Raju has sent out. And by the time they were reading, the stock was crashing. And that was also part of FNO. So there was no circuit filter. So the stock was hammered like
Absolutely.
anything. Everybody was selling it.
Hmm.
And that day the news was out. So people were selling it. But DHFL and SBank news was not out. But still, people were selling it because retail investors do not know what has actually happened. So news took so much time to
Exactly.
come out. So I did this detailed analysis on what are the stocks that has crashed more than 40%. And this Excel analysis gave me like these are the list of stocks. So now I
Hmm.
have the list of stocks, which is in front of me that has
Absolutely.
crashed more than 40% in one single day. Now I need to find out what has happened to these stocks. Because if you look the date, there are some stocks which
Yeah.
crashed in 2009, some stocks in 2013, some in 2008, some in 2011, different years. So now we are doing this analysis in 2018. So I wanted to find
Yeah.
out, okay, these stocks has crashed. Now, what happened to these stocks after the crash? Probably after 1 year or 2 years, 3 years down the line, after
Hmm.
they crash 40%, what happened to them? So one by one, when I check the charts, like financial technologies, after it crashed more than 40%, It tried bounce back, but it couldn't go back to the previous high levels at all. It eventually moved to a penny stock. And stocks like no core education, which after it crashed, eventually it traded as a penny stock few years down the line. And stocks like GTL, after the crash, there was no way it went up. Eventually, that was also traded as a penny stock. So all these stocks, which has crashed more than 40%, they eventually traded as a penny stock. And these two stocks,
Yes.
even after crashing 40%, the next day it was trading relatively around no 350 rupees or no 300 rupees. So I wrote a detailed article like if you are an investor, it's better to get out from these stocks because the fundamental factor has been changed, and this is what the data analysis says. And then I told like no, it is like if you're trying to invest now, it is like catching a falling knife. No, it could really hurt you.
Absolutely.
So it's better to stay away from the stock until the news comes out. So most people did not agree at that time because they said no, DHFL has a very good loan book, very good fundamental, and all these things doesn't make any more sense the moment it crashed 40%. But as a retail
And
investor,
not to be disrespectful to people, but there are a lot of news which goes in. Like, there'll be a news floating around that buy this, it will be the next Infosys, or it will be
exactly,
another gem, like blah blah blah. But
exactly,
guys, Kiru has used a very important term. History repeats itself. If you see the history of stocks which have gone below 40%, crashed below 40%, they have eventually become a penny stock. तो अगर नेक्स्ट टाइम आपके पास कोई आने वाला है तो आपको समझना है कि पेनी स्टॉक बनने के चांसेस हायर है rather than becoming a multi-bagger. I guess the success ratio of becoming a multi-bagger is very less, right? Then why to take that risk? One assignment that we can give to our users is PC Jewelers. Like even PC Jewelers was one of those stocks that happened, like that went down drastically, right?
Right.
I think from 500, 600 levels to 218 one day or something of that sort happened. So yes, viewers, आप लोग वो भी देखिए और उसको हिस्ट्री इससे कंपेयर कीजिए. I think आपको एक better idea आएगा. Yeah, Kiru, go on. Pretty interesting here because this is some next level.
So this is, so I did not use much complex analysis here. I basically just wanted to see, is there any such incident happened in the past? If it has happened, what happened to those respective stocks? And eventually, all these were as a trader as a penny stock. I wrote a detailed article. There is a high possibility that it could happen to these stocks. I'm not 100% sure that it could be a penny stock, but there is a high probability that it can happen. And eventually, that is what
happened. You written in 2018, okay, and we are recording in 2022.
Yeah,
it's been 4 years.
And
your hypothesis has come true.
So eventually that is what happened. DHFL went bankrupt. Eventually they filed for bankruptcy, and S Bank was not trading as 13 rupees when I tried to take the screenshot in 2022, I think.
Wow.
Currently, I'm not sure where it is. So this is
22 rupees was last when I saw it today.
Okay.
But still, that's 85% value eroded, right?
Right.
Why would you want to be there? Exactly.
So
also, we are not against any stocks or something. We're just showing what has happened to a stock which has fallen down by 40%. Disclaimer.
Exactly. Yeah. So that
what will happen is we may get trolled. We may get trolled or something. So I'm just putting a disclaimer here.
So that was a perfect example where you can consider how a data-driven approach could really help you to make the right decision, not only for trading, but for also for your investing part. So let's go to trading part right now. So people who wanted to get into.
So I'll just stop you. Till now, what we have covered in this summit up, we took your background, why data is important, and what got you into data trading, like data-driven approach was the book and your past experience from Infosys. Then we have seen viewers very important stocks which has fallen down by more than 40% in a day, especially and all our FNO stocks. What you have to do, आपको क्या करना है उसमें, आपको किरू ने बताया है, आपके लिए एक्सेल शीट भी दी गई है, वहां पे क्या क्या फिल्टर्स डालने हैं आपको, एंड देन यू कैन यूज योर चार्ट्स एंड डिसाइड क्या करना है. दिस इज रोलिंग स्ट्रैडल. किरू अब अपने ट्रेडिंग स्ट्रैटेजी हमें बताने वाले हैं, तो लेट अस अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट इज रोलिंग स्ट्रैडल एंड व्हाट इज अ स्ट्रैडल, बिकॉज हमारे पास बहुत सारे वील हैव व्यूअर्स हु वोंट नो व्हाट अ स्ट्रैडल मींस. सो थोड़ा सा if you can explain that as well.
Yeah, I'll explain that. So basically, what we are trying to create is we are trying to create an option selling strategy here, which is also going to be a rule-based approach. So just like how we have certain rules in the past that I've explained, this is also a rule-based approach. This is primarily an option selling strategy. And second thing, it is going to be with respect to Bank Nifty. And I'll explain the rules of the strategy here. So the first thing is instrument is Bank Nifty weekly options. And we'll be picking up at the money options. So at the money is, say, suppose if Bank Nifty is trading at 40,000 levels, then you short 40,000 call option and 40,000 put option. That is at the money. If no
Okay, the
Bank Nifty
strike which is closest to the price, that's closest to the
spot,
future price is known as ATM.
right? So we are considering those ATM options, call option and put option, and we are shorting at 9:20 a.m. in the morning, and then we are closing
Okay.
at 3:20 in the evening. But only difference is normally people who trade based on these time-based straddles, 9:20 or 9:30 or 10 o'clock, they use a fixed stop loss, like 20% stop loss or 30% stop loss on the premium. When that is hit, they exit it. But the problem with such kind of approach is like whenever there is a sudden spike, your stop loss gets hit. Stop loss hunting happens.
Yeah.
The stop loss gets hit, and no, again the market would move in your direction. So the idea behind this
Yes.
strategy is to make money as long as the market trades in a narrow range bound. So we wanted to make money. This strategy is specifically designed to make money when you expect the markets to be in range bound. So not when it's trending. So whenever 70% of the time market remains in range bound statistically, only 30% of the time it trends. So we are going to control. Right. So we never know when it's going to be trending, when it's going to be range bound. So that is why we use a 0.4% stop loss on the underlying.
Okay.
So what the difference here is, you short at the money call option and put option at 9:20 when say suppose Bank Nifty is trading at 40,000 levels. So now after you initiated this straddle, when Bank Nifty moves 0.4% on the upside, so from 40,000 levels at 9:20, if it moves 0.4% on the upside, or if it moves down 0.4% on the downside, you close the straddle and then initiate a new straddle. As long as the market trades between this range, we are going to hold this position. So that is the idea behind it.
So basically 40,000, so 160 point on upside, 160 point on downside, total 320 points is what your range
you can
is. Right?
you can actually explain this in Hindi itself, man. That would be much easier for users to understand.
Okay. तो 40,000 अगर बैंक निफ्टी आपका 40,000 पे है तो उसका 0.4% मतलब 160 पॉइंट 160. तो किरू कह रहे हैं कि 40,000 से 160 पॉइंट ऊपर और 40,000 से 160 पॉइंट नीचे, तो टोटल रेंज जो आपकी होती है वो 320 रुपए हो जाती है. और स्ट्रैडल जिन्हें पता नहीं है, स्ट्रैडल का मतलब ये होता है कि आप कॉल और पुट उसी स्ट्राइक के सेल कर रहे हैं. अगर आप सेम स्ट्राइक के कॉल और पुट बेचते हैं या बाय करते हैं, उसको स्ट्रैडल कहते हैं. लॉन्ग स्ट्रैडल, शॉर्ट स्ट्रैडल. यहाँ पे किरू ने सेलिंग बोला है तो इसको शॉर्ट स्ट्रैडल कहेंगे हम. ठीक है या किरू? गो ऑन.
So exactly. So that is what we are going to do. And so in case Bank Nifty moves up or moves down in any one side direction, we are closing that particular straddle and creating a new straddle. Whatever the straddle, the Bank Nifty was trading at that price. Say suppose if Bank Nifty moves from 40,000 to 41,000 or 42,000, whatever the 0.4 levels is breached. At that time, say suppose if Bank Nifty is trading at around 44,000, 42,000 or 43,000, whatever the levels. So at that time, whatever the at the money options is there, we're going to initiate a new trade at that level. Close the old one and create a new straddle. Basically, we are rolling the straddle, closing the old straddle and creating a new straddle. So that is the idea.
And all the time your ATM straddles only, right?
Every time is ATM straddle. So every time whenever the level is breached, we are creating a new straddle. And I've mentioned in the bracket 5, it's because only 5 times we are going to execute it. We can't keep rolling it because it will end up in loss if it's going to be a big trending day. So 5 times we are going to do this. So this is the idea. So now I have the idea. Now I want to back test it. So I have back tested it. So when I back tested, this is my overall P&L. So it gives me 4.7 lakhs of profits, 35,000 of maximum drawdown, and winning accuracy is 60%, expectancy is 0.28, average profit per day is almost 300 rupees. And this is the overall. So this, even though it looks pretty good, still you have to do the same data analysis what that engineer did. So we have to dig further. So we are seeing almost 5 lakhs it is making profits from 2017 to till date. Like I'll
just ask you, is this on one lot or this is per
for
lot?
One lot. It's for one lot.
It's for one lot.
One lot. So one lot from 2017 to 2020.
Basically, so this is a year-long thing. So basically, जो आपको straddle में 1.5 लाख का margin लग रहा है, this is for a year. तो एक साल में जहाँ पे obviously 1.5 लाख से trade करने कोई आएगा नहीं, because two wrong trades and your capital goes off. Basically, you will have a higher capital as well.
You can keep 2 lakhs per lot. You can keep 2 lakhs per lot.
2 lakhs per lot. Okay. So if someone's coming in with 2 lakhs, I think 5 lakhs would be a better thing for adjustment, right?
No. The thing is, when a straddle is initiated with 2 lakhs and the straddle is closed and a new straddle is going to be initiated. So what happens is, if you're trading this specific strategy and this is the overall returns that comes up if you trade on all days. So we are going to dig further and then we are going to figure
Okay, we're
out
going ahead. Okay, so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm being a very
yeah.
I'm a very in like what do you call a newbie trader who has come into the market.
So
So
exactly. So this is what
you'll have
we'll
some.
do. So as soon as we look into the overall results, we jump in. We get excited. We see, okay, the results are good. We start trading it. But the thing is, once we dig further, we'll get to know. So as I said earlier, this is the overall day-wise profit: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So so overall day-wise and overall straddle-wise, the first straddle and closing that first straddle and initiating a second straddle. Likewise, we have different straddles here. If I observe closely, 94% of my overall profits is coming from the first 4 entries.
Yeah.
So the last 2 entries are not giving much profit. Even though it is profitable, we are going to ignore that because my maximum profit is coming from the first 4 trades. So we will be ignoring the rest 2 trades. So then so initially I started with 5 different entries. Now I'm closing it off. And then I'm trying it with, first entry followed by next 3 re-entries. So overall only 4 entries a day. So now I'm digging further to find out what is the average profit per day on a day wise: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. First straddle, second straddle, third straddle, like every rolling straddle, what is the overall profits looks like. So if I look closely, I could see that Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays doesn't make sense trading for such a low rupees, like 50 rupees, 60 rupees, 20 rupees. No, it'll eat away all your transaction charges and slippages. But Thursdays are really good compared to all other days, where the average profit per trade is relatively much higher compared to all other days. So I decided to.
And I hope this is the premium that you're talking about.
Right.
205 is the premium you're talking about.
205 is actually the profit per trade on a trade to trade basis. If you compare all this together, and if you trade on expiry days, you make almost 3 lakhs of overall profits. So you are seeing 4.7 lakhs of profit trading all days. Now we are ignoring that and checking only on expiry days. If you trade it only on expiry days, you still make 3 lakhs of profits. But the
3.05.
And the best part is only 5,000 is your drawdown. So earlier we were having 35,000 rupees of drawdown. So all days 35,000 drawdown. But when you trade only on expiry days, it has drastically come down to 5,000 drawdown.
Because this is pretty interesting, because you're just giving 1.7 lakh rupees of a gain, but you are actually, this is just 1/7 of the loss that you're making, right? That is 14% of the overall.
Yeah, and by moving to expiry days, you are actually increasing your winning accuracy from 60%. Your winning accuracy is increased to 75%, and your expectancy also increased. And the best part
is, out of the 4 trades, like 3 out of the 4 trades, you're making profits, and that is a very big.
Right. And when you're trading all days, as you could see, there is a box below 118 days, which means that 118 days is your maximum time drawdown, the number of days that you're not making any profits. Whereas if I'm moving to expiry days, the maximum drawdown is only 7 days, which is much easier for any trader to adapt to it compared to trading on all other days.
Absolutely.
So and the expectancy also increased. So when we started creating this strategy, we did not have in mind we wanted to create an expiry trading strategy. We created a strategy. But by digging deep all these data, we were finally able to conclude it makes sense trading only on expiry day, because expiry days are highly profitable. So this is how you need to approach with respect to markets. Like, you don't have a concrete idea in your mind and try creating it. Instead, have a normal hypothesis and then try testing it out, and then finally filter it out. So if I'm considering just 2 lakhs per lot, it has given me almost 25% returns with just 2% drawdown. So very, very minimal. So I'm not even considering a hedge. If you just buy OTM hedge for margin benefit, the returns is going to be almost double. Like, you can Right, you can easily make 50% with 5% drawdown or 8% drawdown if you're using hedge.
Exactly. I am too flat because I'm just trying to figure out. And this backtesting data has been for how many years, Kiru?
Some from 2017.
Because there'll be people asking for how many years?
From 2017, right? Yeah, from the time of introduction of weekly options to till date.
Okay. So it has got almost 5 years of data. Matlab, it is
Right.
not tested only for a few months or few years. It
Yeah,
is
it's
being
almost
done
6
for
years
almost
actually.
half a
So
decade
we are
now.
almost done with December, so it's almost 6 years of data.
Yeah, it's half a decade now. It's half a
Yeah.
decade. So
Yeah.
it has given you have a lot of data in your hand.
Right. So the best part is, no, I'm really happy with this kind of performance. It's not only
Hmm.
because of, the returns, it's because of the drawdown. The drawdown is very, very minimal, where with,
Hmm.
you are not just seeing just 5,000 to 10,000 rupees of overall drawdown. So if someone is trading with,
Hmm.
2 lakhs, it's going to be just 5% of their overall, capital. So with,
So,
people.
Kirusi, I'll ask you one more thing here. Okay, you just complete. I'll have few questions. I'll just
Yeah,
because
sure.
our viewers will have some questions.
Sure. So
Because
basically,
someone looking at this right now will definitely want to try it.
yeah. So basically, the idea is, people always aim for higher returns, like 80% returns, 100%
Hmm.
returns, and much higher returns. But I'll explain in the next couple of slides why actually having a
Hmm.
returns of 25 to 35% is more than enough to build wealth on the long run. So this strategy is going to give you returns of 25% to 35% on the long run, on an expiry basis. Or no. So if you're trading on other days, it's fine, but I would
Hmm.
not suggest you to trade on other days. It's relatively good to focus only on expiry days, since the drawdown is much minimal,
Absolutely.
and this return is much more than enough, I would say, if you wanted to have your own standalone trading strategy on expiry days.
Absolutely. And viewers who are watching it, please do not blindly copy it. Kiru has given every details. कैसे करना है आपको कितना drawdown उन्होंने बताया भी है. अगर आपको और details चाहिए, you can tweet him on his handle Kirubakaran Rajendran. He is on Twitter. He is very active on Twitter. So you can connect with him on Twitter. And yes, session के बाद अगर आपको कुछ queries आ रही है, तो I think Kiru would be more than happy to explain this to you
Yeah, sure. Even
on
if
Twitter.
you guys
So
have any questions or any doubts, you can post directly in this YouTube video comments. I can come there and address in the comment section. Not a problem.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
why I said
70,
no,
the rule
even
of 72.
yeah. So why I've said like 30% or even 35% is more than sufficient enough is because there is this rule called what is the time taken to double your capital. So there is this
Yeah.
rule of 72 where 72 divided by your rate of returns will give you the time for investment to double. So if my returns is just 30 or 35%, it just takes 1 to 2 years max to double my capital. So every
Yes.
2 or 2.5 years, you can actually double your capital. So if someone is trading with higher capital, I always say
Hmm.
people who have higher capital, like for an example, people who have lower capital, they expect higher returns. People who have
Yes.
higher capital, they expect lower drawdowns, because they know, okay, with higher capital, all you need is enough patience of enough time. If you just give enough time and enough patience,
Absolutely.
it is automatically going to compound on the long run. So having a 25% to 35% of returns is much no recommended level. So if you're a no trader who's trying to create higher returns, you can create, that is possible. But if you do not know, skip those strategies which is giving you lower returns, because more than lower returns, having a lower drawdowns is much more important,
Drawdown.
because no drawdowns is the number one reason traders quit. If you want to avoid drawdowns, the only advice that I have is you have to stop trading. So no, there is no way that you could avoid this
And
process.
I'll just place it on record today. We are recording on 15th of December. You guys can go and check Kiru's tweet. Even he is not immune to drawdowns. So drawdowns will happen. That's the part of the game that will happen. But you need to understand how much drawdown is okay for you, because you have to be in the game and you need to have a lower drawdown and a higher return compared to your drawdown. Not a higher
Exactly.
return, not in terms of higher, as in higher than your drawdown. And
Yes, sir.
like everybody talking, everyone who has come, who's a profitable trader, is saying 30% is also a very big return. If you see, it is not that easy to generate 30% return. And you guys, like retailers, should understand that 30 or 25% return is a humongous return. And it's called, what do you call it? It is the ideal return one can expect, right, from the market. You can't have 100x or 200x, which is being promised which is usually promised. And you, like, one more thing, like your one tweet became a national sensation. It has been covered by a lot of media houses as well. You called out somebody of 1,000 quantities of bank nifty rather than 900 quantities. So you will find such people. Now, देखोगे Twitter पे, will have such people promising dreams to you,
That
like
is
selling
true.
dreams. Sorry, not promising, they're selling dreams to you
So
just
the
by
great,
screenshot.
great part is always be there, man. So no matter what, so no matter how we try to educate more people. So people who are greedy, if you observe, they are the one who have more than enough money, so they fall for these greediness. It's not like no people who are struggling, who are in poverty, they fall for these greediness. People who have more money, people who are really educated, they go and fall for these greed, no, these scams and
Exactly.
everything, because they expect such returns are really possible with respect to markets. Such returns are possible, like 80%, 100% is possible through options, but it's not going to be possible every single day, every single expiry. You could see some
Exactly.
options moving from 6 rupees to 60 rupees or 100 rupees. That happens once in a while. It is not like every single
Today,
expiry you can expect that. Yeah, today is an absolute example. I have seen literally moving my own PNL. No morning, I was in a profit of good 40,000 in the morning. By evening today, I'm sitting in a loss of almost 2 lakhs. So after booking the loss of 2 lakhs, I'm sitting in for this interview. So those
exactly.
things
And
are
we are
normal.
recording this. I'll place it on record that we are recording this we have started recording at 3:35. So Kiru made a loss of 2 lakhs. He came at 3:30 after the market. We started recording at 3:35, 3:40, and we are completing it. So understand, somebody has made a huge loss. 2 lakh is a huge number, but he's comfortable because he knows his drawdown and he knows what he'll make. So he's okay losing that much. जितना हो सकते हो उतना चलेगा. जो आपको नींद भी दे वो important है. I think this is your main strategy that you wanted to convert, right?
Exactly,
You
man.
want to convert, right? तो
Yeah,
guys,
see,
आप जो देख रहे हैं, आप इनको वापस जाइए पीछे, स्ट्रैटेजी समझिए. ये 6 रोलिंग स्ट्रैटल्स, राइट, जिसमें सिर्फ 4, लाइक it is 9:20, 10:20, 11:20, 12:20, 1:20, 2:20, 3:20, right? This is the timeline that you go
no,
on.
no, no, you're not creating a new straddle every single hour. You are creating it only when the underlying moves 0.4%.
Moves, right? Okay, perfect. So you just riding the same straddle. अगर वो 320 का जो रेंज हमने स्टार्टिंग में कहा था उसके बाहर चले गया तो हम लोग नया स्ट्रैडल बना रहे हैं, नहीं तो वही चीज को हम राइड करते रहेंगे. Perfect.
Right.
See, I'm telling you now, I'm a novice noob trader, doesn't know much of options, so I'm just asking such stupid questions.
Sure,
I
sure,
think
sure.
there's one more slide,
Yeah,
Kiru,
so this
right?
is the
Just
last
one
slide
more.
that I have. So,
Okay.
I always say, like, if there is a process, there will be a progress. So, it doesn't matter whether you are facing, a losses or you're facing streaks of losses. As long as that is part of your rules, just stick to the rules, just move on. Because loss drawdowns are just part of trading business. So if you're really worried about it, it's not because of your analysis that is going wrong. It's because of the size, the number of lots, the quantity that you're trading with. So always trade with the quantity that you could afford to lose. So no, I always say, if you're a person who's holding overnight positions, so when people ask what is the right position size, so the best traders are the one who are able to sleep peacefully with their overnight positions. So not thinking about where the Dow Jones is moving, not worrying about where the SGX Nifty is going to open the next day. So if you're worried too much, then you are now having a very big lot size or very big quantity, which you couldn't handle it. So so yes, Gaurav, go ahead.
Exactly. Position sizing and risk management is more important than making profits. That's what I just wanted to sum it up here.
Exactly. So even though the chart that you're saying is in every presentation I keep this chart, it is actually the performance of Bilden. So Bilden is one of a famous hedge fund investor in US.
Yes.
Where the red line that you see is actually the performance of S&P index, just like how our Sensex or Nifty, and the blue line is actual fund's performance. And this is not just for 5 years or 10 years; it is almost for 50 years, from 1970 to 2022. So he has been running this, CTA strategies almost for such a long period, and it is not something like a retail guy. He manages millions and dollars, and he himself has gone through multiple drawdowns. If you
Two
see all those
drawdowns.
arrow marks, yeah, all those arrow marks,
Yes. There's
35%, 40%.
52% drawdown as well. We have seen.
Yeah,
There's a hedge fund who's making losses.
exactly, and even in 2008, he has lost 63%. So every single
Exactly.
time he has lost, he has seen major drawdowns. He has seen 13 drawdowns that is greater than 25%. And every time he lost such money, eventually it came up. So that is what important is. So eventually, after all the drawdowns, he was able to recover and make new high, make new, more, even more profit. He was able to
over a
stick
period
to
of
it.
50 years, because over a period of 50 years, he's made only 13 losing years. So that's again what you've been telling us.
Right. So always you have to zoom out
Right.
and see. Just because a day or a week goes into a loss, you don't need to worry. You can always consider that on a a quarterly basis, half-yearly basis, or yearly basis. You are going to end up in a good profitable zone. So drawdowns are going to be normal. Any kind of strategies, it's going to be there. So no, I would suggest if a guy who is managing billions of dollars, he himself is he's sitting calmly and handling the drawdowns. You yourself could also handle it. Only thing is, make sure
So,
that no, you trade with the size that you could afford to lose.
so because there on Twitter we have some super traders, like Ashish calls them super traders because they never have any drawdowns. They are always in profits of 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. So guys जो रीड अब जो देख रहे हैं यहाँ पे समझिए एक हेज फंड भी लॉस करता है. लॉस होना पार्ट ऑफ द गेम है, पर आप उतना ही लॉस कीजिए जितना आप उसे गंवाने की क्षमता रख सकते हैं. आई थिंक किरू ने बहुत अच्छी तरह से हमें ये बताया है. इन्होंने अपना जर्नी बताया है. इन्होंने क्यों सिस्टम बेस्ड ट्रेडिंग में आए हैं किरू हमारे साथ. उसके बाद एक स्टोरी बताई है. वो क्यों बताई है? क्योंकि उस डेटा को समझने के लिए आपको आगे बढ़ना है. फिर उन्होंने हमें स्टॉक्स बताए जो 40% से ज्यादा गिर चुके हैं एफएनओ में, और जब भी ये स्टॉक गिरता है तो हमें क्या करना चाहिए. क्या हमें उसे बाय करना चाहिए या वहां से दूर रहना चाहिए? वो किरू ने आंसर कर दिया है. आप लोग को पीसी ज्वेलर्स का एक असाइनमेंट मिला है जो आप खुद देख सकते हो. उसके बाद इनका स्ट्रैटेजी जो है बैंक निफ्टी में ट्रेड करते हैं, जो स्ट्रैटेजी वो उन्होंने यहाँ पे आपके सामने रख दिया है. इस स्ट्रैटेजी के रिलेटेड जो भी डाउट से किरू ने कहा है आपको, आप कमेंट में डाल सकते हो, या तो आप किरू को ट्वीट भी कर सकते हो. और एंड में उन्होंने ये बताया कि लॉस होना पार्ट है गेम का. आप उतना ही लॉस कीजिए जितना आप अफोर्ड कर सकते हैं. और एक किरू लास्ट क्वेश्चन,
Yes.
what is the minimum capital which someone should come in? Because I asked this to everybody because people come in with 1 lakh, 50,000 and end up
if
losing.
you're trading with derivative segment, at least minimum I have 3 to 5 lakhs of capital if you're coming and trading with derivative segments. Even with
And this was part time, like full time traders can't have that.
full-time trade,
Like,
no,
if
it's
someone
completely depend upon the their expenses. There are people who sit in tier 2, tier 3 cities where their expenses is relatively much lower. Even if they have 10,000 per month, they can easily manage their day-to-day expenses there. So it all depends upon where the people are, their day-to-day expenses and everything. And just because you are able to have 30 or 40 lakhs of capital, don't jump into full-time trading. Just trade it for part-time and make sure that you're able to handle all the fluctuations, and also don't rely on
very
your
important point.
So don't rely
because
on
if you can't make profit on lower caps, like smaller capitals, you will never be able to make profits on a higher
capital. Exactly, right. And you have to know, like any user, I always give this 100 days exercise. Like if you have started learning any trading strategies, don't jump in with higher capital and start trading it right away. Trade with one lot for 100 days. So next 100 days, so if I've given the strategy today, you try this strategy for the next 100 expiries or 50 expiries continuously. And after each and every date, say today I'm following this strategy and this is my overall profit or loss. And next, after to that, in an Excel, just give yourself a score. If you have followed the rules, give 1 mark. If you have not followed the rules, give -2 mark. So if you override the rules or override the stop loss. Likewise, if you just track your progress for 100 days, you will be able to see what is your score. So if you are a guy who have scored more than 90 marks, you are a disciplined trader. There is a high chance that you could really make it big. If you are not making 90 marks in this journal over this 100 days, then you have to start working on it. So make sure that you don't override these rules. So by tracking your own progress, by following the rules or not, you would be able to see. As I always say, when there is a process, there will be a progress. Just make sure that you follow the process. And what the QR code is nothing but instead of giving me all the email IDs and all the Twitter handles, I thought, okay, I'll just show this QR code so that people could scan it and then they could get to know all the details of me.
आप स्कैन कर सकते हो और किरू की सारी डिटेल्स देख सकते हो. आई थिंक किरू हैज एक्सप्लेन्ड एवरीथिंग इन डिटेल. प्लीज अगर आप देख रहे हैं तो चैनल को भी सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और keep your capital safe. And Kiru, thank you so much for taking out time on an expiry day after an expiry with us. It was a pleasure hosting you
on an expiry, that on such a volatile expiry through that it was actually a hectic day.
It was one hell of an expiry today, but it was fun. Thank you so much, Kiru.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure hosting you. Thank you guys. I hope आप next segment के लिए ready रहेंगे. आपको ये पसंद आया तो please like कीजिए, subscribe कीजिए और खुश रहिए. Thank you.
Thanks, Gaurav. Bye.